tuning into my second video. I am sorry that I am using my phone to do this, but I'm waiting for my tripod to come in, and it will be the greatest day ever once it does. But for now, this is what it has to be. For today, we're going to be making a veggie beet soup. I posted a picture of it on my Facebook the other day, and I've gotten a lot of likes on it. So today, I will teach you guys how to make it from scratch. See you in a little. Some tips in making the soup today. We are going to be using beets with the root beets with the stem, and you want the green leaves on top of it. When you are going to be cutting and peeling these beets, we're going to be using them raw and cooking them in the soup. The beets will release their colored pigmentation. So your cutting board will get dirty and it will be very difficult to wash off. So what I would recommend if you don't want to get your hands dirty is wear some gloves. And definitely protect your cutting board the best way you can. And directly after cutting your beets, wash it right away. Hot water, scrub it, trying to get as much color out as possible. I personally cut the beets in my hand. It's difficult, but I really don't want to ruin my wooden cutting board. So that's my helpful tip to you with these beets that we're going to be working with. We're going to chiffonade our beet leaves. This is a very important part when you're buying your beets because you want the ones with the stem and the leaves on top of it. These leaves are such a beautiful flavor. For chiffonading them, we're going to place them on top of each other, and then we're going to roll them with the leaf. And then you are going to cut. We're almost ready to start our soup. We have our mise en place ready. Mise en place is a French term for putting in its place. So we are putting our ingredients in their place so that way they're ready for us when we begin our cooking. I have some corn from the cob. You can use canned corn if you feel more comfortable that way, but I just take the husk off the corn and boil my corn and take it off its cob right there. I have my raw beets cut into cubes. I have some carrots, some onions, celery, some broccoli. I have a whole medium potato cut into cubes. I have some mushrooms, and then the stems and the leaves that we chiffonaded earlier from our beets. So here we are, we're ready to start. I would also recommend having a pot of boiling water ready for yourself. It helps out with making the soup a lot faster. And well, let's begin. We'll begin by making a roux. A roux is simply the same ratio of fat to flour. So over here I have 2 tablespoons of butter. The only reason that I'm using butter, you can also substitute it and use oil, or if you feel comfortable, you can use coconut oil as well. But coconut oil will make your soup taste like coconut, just an FYI. So I am using 2 tablespoons of butter. I'm going to let the butter completely melt down and start to bubble up, like you see the little bubbles over here, because the butter is starting to melt and come into its separate particles of water and milk. Very nice. That's a different topic right there. And then I am going to use 2 tablespoons of flour as well. So now the butter is melting and it's bubbling up, those beautiful bubbles that you want to see. Oh, you hear that? That sounds great. So we are going to be making a blonde roux today. There are 3 stages of roux. We have a white roux, there's a blonde roux, and then a hazelnut roux. Hazelnut is for dark sauces, which later on in the video, not this one, but in my future videos, I will show you guys some nice sauces to make. But here we are. 2 tablespoons of butter and 2 tablespoons of flour. So we are going to keep it at a medium heat so that way it doesn't burn rather quickly. This roux is a thickening agent for your soup, so that way you won't have to use a lot of heavy cream or any other fat substance that helps thicken soups. We may have to use a second thickener of a cornstarch or arrowroot slurry, but we'll see how the soup comes out. So now that the roux is forming, the bubbles are forming, and the flour and the fat already combined it together, we are going to let it change that beautiful brownish color, not too dark because we're going blonde, not hazelnut. But now I'm going to be tossing in our mirepoix. Mirepoix is some aromatic onions, some celery, and some carrots. By putting in these vegetables, you are automatically stopping the cooking of the roux, so it will no longer change any darker color. Whenever Each step of the way of my cooking, I always put a dash of salt just so the natural waters release from the onions and the celery and the carrots. So now we are going to mix that up and let that become translucent. Translucent meaning you want no color on your vegetables, but you do want them to release their flavor, so you want the onions to turn clear. Now that our onions are almost translucent, not quite there, we're going to drop in our mushrooms and our broccoli. I would also recommend using bouillons. In this actual recipe, I use vegetable bouillons just because I don't make my own stock. It takes a long time to do that, but like I said, I have my boiling water ready for me. And my soup, aromatic vegetables are releasing their flavor by sauteing them before I make the soup itself. In the pot you're going to make the soup in. Everything is in one pot. Let's just put that out there right now. I actually broke up my bouillons already. I'm using vegetable bouillons. You can use chicken bouillons in this soup as well. I wouldn't necessarily recommend using a beef bouillon because it's a meatier flavor, but I am using vegetable in this one. So be careful with the amount of salt you use because bouillons are naturally salty. So I put the rest of my ingredients into my sauteing little mixture right here. I put the beets in as well as the potatoes, and I mixed everything up. The only thing that I left out is the corn and the stems and the leaves from the beets. Those are the last things that go in, only because the corn is already cooked and the leaves and the stems cook rather quickly. Water is in, and I'm rather at a medium-high heat right now. I will be adding in my aromat sachet. I don't have gauze or anything, so I kind of just throw it into the soup and pick it out later. But if you have gauze with some kitchen string that you want to tie it up in a little baggie and throw it in there, super. All right, let's go. I have 3 peppercorns. Toss. Bay leaf. Toss. And I love thyme, so I have some fresh thyme. Toss. And I'm going to stir that in there, and let that flavor come out and make our broth. Since we don't have the chicken broth and we're only using bouillons, or the vegetable broth, whichever ones you guys are using, I like to flavor up my soup with natural aromats like a bay leaf. My soup already came to a boil and I turned it down. It is now on low-medium heat, and I will be adding the rest of my ingredients to my soup. So my soup is like a red tintish color. I want it to be a little more purple. So now we are going to bring in our acidity into the mixture. One thing to die down acidity, just in case you do maybe put in a little too much vinegar, which we will be using vinegar and lemon juice. You can die it down by putting in a little bit sugar. I may have to put a little bit sugar, but I usually don't put sugar into my soup for this one because of how many carrots I use, and the carrots make my soup rather sweet. Not that I want it sweet at all. So for vinegar, I am literally going to eyeball. I'm sorry guys, I eyeball a lot of my recipes. I promise I will get better at exact measurements, but this is just me right now. So for my pot, this is how big it is. I'm halfway with my soup. This is only water with all my vegetables and my aromats. So I will be putting in maybe a teaspoon and a half. Let's see. I'll say that's a half. I say that's a whole teaspoon right there. Teaspoon and a half. Mix, mix, mix. One important thing while you are cooking, please taste your food every step of the way. Even though your vegetables aren't cooked, I would like you guys to take a spoon right now and taste what you have going on in your pot. If you would like, you can stay at this color, call it a day, put your corn in, put the rest of your beets in there, and mix it up together, and your soup is ready. For me, personally, I'm going to be adding a teaspoon and a quarter of sour cream into my soup mixture. So what I would recommend to you is do not put the sour cream straight in there. It will curdle and it will ruin your soup. I'm going to put some of the hot liquid into my sour cream to temper it slightly so it doesn't curdle up in my mixture. My sour cream is tempered. Here I go. I may not even use all of it. Start with that. Still some in there. just want it just a tiny bit lighter. That's all we're going for. So I added my sour cream. It is tempered. I tempered it, put it in there, stirred it up. That is about the color that I would enjoy my soup to be. I don't want it to go any lighter. If you would like it to be lighter, in the beginning process, when you add your water, you can put some heavy cream into it and do that, or you can add a little bit more sour cream, but for me, that is enough. So now that all my vegetables on the inside are cooked, I'm going to add in my cooked corn. Not all of it, that was a little much when I looked at it. And my beets, the rest of my beets. This is just warm up. My soup is cooked, it's ready. This would be the part, turn off your soup. It's not on the fire anymore. It's just cooked on the stovetop. And this would be a great time, oh, all right then. Would be a great time to add in your dill as well. Well, that's all, guys. That's my soup for you. All nice and ready. Oh, look at how steamy that is. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed my video and you enjoy your delicious soup, and I can't wait. I would love to hear from you guys if you guys decided to try my recipe today, and let me know how it came out. If you have any ideas on how to switch up the recipe and you tried something different, I'd love to hear about it too. Stay tuned for my next video, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Bye!